The company will be in good hands, Justin's hands. My dad raised his glass at what was supposed to be his retirement dinner. And Nicole? Well, maybe she can try Burger Stop? The room erupted in laughter, but all I heard was my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. I sat frozen, face burning, as colleagues, family, friends, everyone at that table laughed at my expense. My name is Nicole Chambers, 30 years old. For the past decade, I was Chambers Distribution Company in Portland, Oregon. While Justin partied and burned through Dad's money on failed startups, I pulled all, managed our biggest accounts, kept the wheels from falling off. I negotiated the deal that saved us from bankruptcy 3 years ago. I modernized our systems and boosted profits by 40%. But none of that mattered, not when I lacked the right anatomy. She'd probably ruined that too, Justin added, smirking into his wine glass. More laughter. My father beamed at his son's wit. The same son who'd crashed 2 startups in 5 years and showed up to the office maybe 20 times last year. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife. This wasn't just a joke. This was my father declaring publicly a decade of my blood, sweat, and results meant nothing. That I meant nothing. I forced a smile, nodded, played the role of the pretty daughter who knew her place. But inside, something shifted. A cold, calculated fury took root. As I scanned the table faces of people I'd worked alongside for years, now laughing at my so-called incompetency, realized something crucial. They had no idea what was coming. None of them knew about the meetings I'd held for the past 6 months, the quiet talks with minority shareholders, the meticulous paper trail I'd built. They thought this was my humiliation. What they were really witnessing was the beginning of their downfall. I lifted my wine glass, meeting Dad's gaze across the table. You're absolutely right, I said softly, voice steady despite the storm inside me. The company does need to be in good hands. His smile faltered at my tone, but he recovered fast, raising his glass here as if my agreement validated his choice. Little did he know, I'd already ensured the company would be in good hands. Mine, growing. Up Chambers, being Robert Chambers' daughter, meant living under expectations I could never meet. From day one, Justin was the golden child. The heir, 3 years older than me, treated like royalty. Baseball, dreams, top-tier equipment, struggling in math. Elite tutors, wanted to start up after college. A $200,000 trust fund handed over, no questions asked. Me. I fought for every scrap. When I graduated, summa cum laude, in business admin. Dad called it nice, but said the real world would be different. When I asked to join the company, he stuck me in the mailroom, proved myself there. Earn your stripes in customer service. 3 years. 3 years to climb to a position Justin could have waltzed into on day one. But I stayed because I loved this business. Chambers Distribution wasn't just a paycheck. It was legacy. We supplied critical medical equipment across the Pacific Northwest. When hospitals needed life-saving supplies, we delivered them. It mattered. Justin saw it as his personal ATM. After college, instead of joining the family business, he declared himself an entrepreneur. First venture, a social media app for pet owners. Burned through $200,000 in 18 months. Dad laughed it off as a learning experience and funded his next disaster, a food delivery app that flopped faster. Meanwhile, I worked 60-hour weeks, built supplier relationships, fixed logistics nightmares. When our biggest client threatened to leave over deliveries, I drove to Seattle at midnight to resolve it. When cash flow dried up, I renegotiated payment terms. When our archaic system caused inventory chaos, I implemented new software that saved us 6 figures. Yet no matter what I achieved, Dad downplayed it. Nicole handled the Peterson account. Well, but Peterson's always been easy. Ha, computa. ThingWorks ... for now. Always a qualifier. Always making my wins feel small. Still, I clung to hope that merit would win. That one day he'd see I was the reason his company thrived. Tonight shattered that delusion. The breaking point 6 months ago. At a routine board meeting, Dad insisted Justin attend his first in 2 years. I'd just presented our best quarterly results ever, 22% revenue growth, 3 new major contracts, and a successful launch of our emergency medical supply service. The board was impressed, grilling me on strategy. This was it. My moment. Surely now he'd see I was ready for leadership. But as the board congratulated me, Dad stood smiling. Of course, Justin's been instrumental in Nicole's success. His entrepreneurial mindset guided her thinking. I stared. Justin had contributed nothing. He hadn't even been here. To his credit, Justin looked embarrassed and tried to correct him, but Dad steamrolled ahead. In fact, it's time Justin joined officially. Maybe as VP of Strategic Development. Silence? Even the board looked baffled. They'd just seen my results. Dad was promoting the son who'd ghosted the company. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about merit or business. It was about Dad's worldview. Men lead, women support. I could run this company better than anyone in that room, and he knew it. But he'd never allow it. Walking out, something in me broke, then reformed harder. If traditional paths were closed to me, I'd make my own. The silent takeover that night. I started making calls. Chambers Distribution was, but Dad had sold minority stakes over the years, 49% total to fund expansion. What no one realized, those shareholders were frustrated. They'd watched Justin's failures, seen Dad's outdated leadership stagnate growth. I reached out not as Robert's daughter, but as the woman who'd actually protected their investments. First target, Margaret Foster, 15% stake, a retired nurse who'd invested her pension with Dad because she believed in our medical mission over coffee. I pitched growth, rural health care expansion, manufacturer partnerships, subscription services for routine supplies, not dreams plans with research and numbers to back them. Your father isn't interested in growth, I said. He's handing control to Justin. Margaret's lips thinned. She knew Justin's track record. You're proposing a change in leadership. I'm proposing shareholders who care about this company's future control, its direction. She didn't commit but gave me 2 more names. David Thompson, 18%, wanted detailed projections. Patricia Wells, 16%, lawyer. insisted on legal reviews. Months of delicate negotiations followed. Fair market value offers, seller financing, discretion. By tonight. I held 51% of Chambers' distribution. The dinner, the irony was delicious. Dad chose the Grand Hotel's private dining room for his passing of the torch, unaware he'd gifted me the perfect stage. As he toasted Justin, I scanned the room. Margaret, my guest, smirking into her wine. David, nodding politely but winking at me. But she stood her sign doc saved on her phone. Industry heavyweights watched our biggest client, Chamber of Commerce, reps, competitors. Dad wanted witnesses for Justin's coronation. He was about to get them. The reveal after Dad and Justin finished their self-congratulatory speeches. My lawyer, Thomas Mitchell, stood. Excuse me, there's a business matter to address. Silence. As of 3 p.m. today, Nicole Chambers acquired controlling interest 51% via minority shareholder purchases. Dad's glass shattered against his plate. That's impossible. He sputtered. Thomas remained calm. The sales were legal. Margaret, David, and Patricia sold their 49%. Nicole secured another 2% from employee stock. I stood serene. Dad, you spoke about vision and leadership. You're right. That's why I've insured this company's future. I met his eyes. It is in good hands now. Mine. Chaos erupted. Justin screamed about stealing the family business. Dad ranted about lawsuits. But the truth, every move was airtight. And as majority owner, I fired Justin's $20,000 month consulting gig on the spot. Epilogue. Dad retreated to Ben, to humiliated, to show his face. Justin, failed podcast, now sells extended warranties at a dealership. Me, in Dad's old office, watching Portland's skyline. Revenge was sweet, but this wasn't just about vengeance. It was about building something they could never touch. Sometimes you don't wait for a seat at the table. Sometimes you build your own damn table.